Welcome. We are so happy to see you here for the 33rd annual YMCA Community Breakfast. It's hard to think about that 33 years ago, it started in a room on Maple Street, right? And now it's this. Thanks to all of you all for being here, giving up your early morning to come and join us for breakfast. We so appreciate all of you. So, as you'll see behind me, scrolling, we have our 2023 donors. And the names that are scrolling, those are individuals who really helped us and continue to help us with the programs that we're doing at the Y. We want to thank all of our 2023 donors. And as you can see on the board, we had 571 donors in 2023, of which 370 were Y members, and 204 were first-time donors. Thank you. The first slide, I was going to say my name. I think it was there, but I just want to go back. I'm Dr. Cheryl Dixon, and I have the pleasure and the honor of serving as the president and chair for the YMCA board. So, thank you, everyone. Thank you. It truly is a privilege and an honor. So, I also want to have now a special thank you to Abraxas for being our presenting sponsor and our longtime supporter for the Y. Can they stand if Abraxas representatives are here, please? Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now I want to thank our table sponsors. And what I'd like to do is have a representative from each table stand, and then we'll applause for all of them at the end. So First Source, AVB, Construction, a representative from each table, perfect. Consumers Energy, Delta Dental, Kalamazoo Community Foundation, Matrix Fitness, R.W. Lapine, the On Staff Group, Welsh and Associates Incorporated, and WMed. We want to thank all of you. And we want to thank each and every table host who actually helped fill the tables that we have today in this morning's breakfast. Now I'd like to have a shout out to Sheriff Richard Fuller, if you can stand. Hi, Sheriff. And actually, Sheriff Fuller has been our table host for the last 15 annual community breakfasts. Let's give him a hand. He's standing. Now I'd like to recognize the members of the Y board for 2024. Would each of you please stand that are here? Let's give him a hand. Now I'd like the members who actually were former board members to stand. Any former board members for the Y, please stand to be recognized. Now we have the elected officials in the audience. Please, first of all, thank you for coming, and please stand so we can recognize you as well. So I'm going to go back to the program. Our annual breakfast is one of two of our fundraising events for the Y that's conducted each year. In front of you, you will see the program for the event. And on the back, please take a look when you can, you'll see the impact that the Y has had in 2023. The impact in this community, persons who've been served, children, young people, old people. The Y does a lot. Also, your table hosts have a donation form ready for you. And our goal today is to share, to educate, and inspire you to support the Y in 2024. And now I'd like to introduce the President and CEO of the Greater Kalamazoo Y, Dave Morgan.
Oh, this on? Perfect. So yes, Cheryl said I'm the CEO of the YMCA here in Greater Kalamazoo. I've been here for 6 years. And just to give some perspective, my first year here, we had about 170 people at the event. So just in the last 6 years, this continues to grow. And I'm not sure, unless there's a wall goes away or something, we might have to find do something different. So I do appreciate you all being here. It's a great event. And as Cheryl said, today we're here to talk about the Y a little bit, for me to tell you a little bit about what the Y does, what the Y is about, and hopefully inspire you to consider a donation to the Y, because that allows us to do the great things. And so today I decided to start, and each year I've kind of told a little bit about who I am, because I think that guides where this organization goes at times. Who I am personally, what has directed my life, and as many of you know, many have heard my story before, parts of it, my life revolves around the Y, and I'm going to share some things along that way. So if you're not aware, that's my hometown. I was born in Madison, Wisconsin, 1968. That little house there is the 5-bedroom, 1-bath house that my 3 sisters and brother and I grew up in, just down from not too far from a YMCA. And so Madison is still, dear to my heart, and that tree actually was planted in my birth in 1968, and that's what it looks like today. But that really, honestly, wasn't the home I spent a lot of my time at, or my family did. There's alcoholism was a little bit of an issue in my house, and I say a little bit. My wife and I dealt with that a lot as my kids dealt with my parents and so forth. But that's a picture just outside of a little tavern called the Ohio Tavern, and my parents after work, that's where they went, and that's where there used to be. I can still remember the painted glass that had some chips out of it, and I'd peer through to see if my parents were in there, so I knew if I could go into the bar. I literally learned how to play pool at about age 4 or 5. Now, my dad wouldn't let me use a pool cue because he was afraid I'd ruin the felt, but I learned how to play pool by rolling a ball, and that's where we spent most of our time, is either there or at the VFW. So my parents never went to a school function, never really focused on school at all. It was literally about maybe going to work and then having a drink afterwards, and another drink, and another drink. And so life is fragile. My mom, it was profound. I can literally remember as a young kid checking her pulse in a chair to see if she's still alive as she was passed out. Was not uncommon. My wife and I were uncomfortable. She would want to watch our kids when they were little, and we just weren't comfortable with it. It was tough. It was tough because that was the experience my kids were going through, and that was the experience I went through. And there you go. And my dad was not much different. My dad was what I would call maybe a functioning alcoholic, where he could go to work. He had a great job at the local utility. He was a lineman and a foreman. But 4 o'clock, 4:30, that horn sound, he went home, drank. And this relays a story. I was about 12 years old, 11 years old, something like that. I was playing catcher in Little League. And to this day, I think my dad's the first dad to ever get kicked out, or maybe the last dad to ever get kicked out of a Little League game for being drunk. And so he was behind home plate. He was a little bit inebriated, was complaining about balls and strikes, and I literally, as the catcher, had to turn around and say, "You need to leave." And the umpire kicked him out. And it wasn't until Father's Day, I was probably 27, something like that, that I finally invited him back to one of my games. I was playing traveling baseball. Maybe I don't know if I was 27. Yeah, I was pretty old. But it was Father's Day. I did hit a home run that day. It was a little town called Helensville. Gave him the ball, but it was the first time Heather and I invited him to a game since I was about 11 years old. But I found a safe space, my YMCA. Spent a lot of time there. And as many of you heard, I'd sneak in, get kicked out, sneak in, get kicked out. But it gave me a great opportunity. I learned how, I got to swim. They had a diving board. I used to play basketball. And, but that opportunity was based on some poor choices. I was sneaking in, getting kicked out, sneaking in, getting kicked out. And, you know, I was kind of at a crossroad. And I share this story because I will tell you the story about my brother. My brother dropped, again, school was not that important, so my parents never graduated high school, their parents never graduated high school. So it just wasn't that interesting or that important. My brother dropped out about 9th grade, lived on the street most of his life. And if I didn't tell you, my mom actually passed away because she was drunk and fell down the basement stairs. My brother slipped on the ice drunk, had a traumatic brain injury, and my wife and my kids would spend a lot of time with him at a nursing home as he spent most of his last days barely learning to talk and move again. And so I was at a crossroads. And you know, we talked about, a couple years ago, we kind of have themes to these, and we had Kim Carter here talking about being seen. And I was seen. I had an opportunity. I had a gentleman by the name of Pat Klinkner pulled me aside one day at the YMCA and said, hey, I'm sick of kicking you out, but here's the deal. I'll get you a membership to the Y if you simply just come in and clean the weight room every day. And it kind of sparks a quote that I remember from a book called The Fred Factor, which said, did you make a difference today? You undoubtedly impacted someone. The question you ask yourself is, what kind of difference did I make? And I live by that each and every day. Because I know at some point we're going to impact somebody, and we get to decide what our impact is going to be each and every day. So Pat had me cleaning the weight room. Wednesday afternoons, I'd come after school, wipe down the equipment, worked in housekeeping, did that kind of thing once or twice a week, and I got a membership to the Y. So those opportunities of getting to play basketball and hanging out, it led to my first job at 16. He offered me a job to be a gym supervisor in June 1985 at the Y. And my main role was to make sure kids didn't sneak in, which was literally a perfect job. So I literally sit and I'd watch kids. I knew how they jumped on racquetball courts. I knew how all the secret, how to distract the desk player, but it was great. So I spent a lot of time doing that. That led me to my second job of teaching and coaching. And so he allowed me to coach youth basketball and a variety of, I coached everything from gymnastics, bowling, flag football, soccer, some of which I was good at. You could do a round off in front of a 4-year-old. They thought you were ready for the Olympics. So you didn't have to be real good. But I did a lot of that. And, I got to about 16, 17. I was, that age. And what do you do next? Where do you go from there? College was never really a conversation we had. So I decided, I took my physical for the Navy. I was going to go in. I was actually pretty good at math. Couldn't read worth a crap. But I was pretty good at math, so I was going to look at going to the nuclear engineering program in the Navy. Took my physical, went down to Milwaukee, did that. But I also found out my dad's work, Madison Gas and Electric, had this scholarship program that if you had good enough grades and your parents worked there, you could apply for a scholarship. And lo and behold, I got a scholarship. And I had this choice. Do I go to the Navy? Do I go to college? And I figured I could go to college because if I don't like it, I can leave. Navy, they don't care so much if you leave, so they don't like that too much. And I literally only applied to Madison because I never took an ACT, I never took an SAT, it was never, and I can even remember filling out my application and financial aid forms, and I asked my dad, I looked at him and said, hey, Dad, it's asked how much do you make? And he said, that's none of your damn business. I said, all right, well, I guess the good thing I worked full-time at the Y, and I worked and I went to college and I got to go to the great University of Wisconsin-Madison. Yeah, I know, green, white, go blue, blah, 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 whatever. Anyway, but that's not where my Y story ended at all. So lo and behold, this young lady over here is my wife, and I met her at the Y. She was working the front desk. She was in college, or she was in high school. She was a senior. I was about a sophomore in college, and we started dating. And these are the flowers I bought her on Valentine's Day, and this is when the staff finally found out we were actually dating because I got the flowers. I will tell you, I didn't eat for like 2 weeks because I was making a whopping $3.35 an hour at the Y. I had no money, but my girlfriend at the time needed flowers, or I wanted to get her flowers. And that's actually a note from one of the staff after I left, just reminding me of that. And so I owe the Y for meeting my wife. And that led me to my family. This is my family. This is my daughter's wedding just this last year. And my wife's story doesn't quite end there. Other than my son-in-law, all 5 of us have worked at the Y at one point in our lives. And in fact, my son is a regional director for the YMCA of North of Minneapolis, a sports director overseeing 5 YMCAs in his community. So it's who we are, it's where we come from, and it's what guided my life. So what does that mean? You know, for me, it then helps me guide making our community brighter. It's what my kind of true north is. Because I would not be here today if it wasn't for the Y. I can honestly say that. And you'll hear this later, it saved my life. Because I could have easily been my brother, living on the streets, spending time at the bar, all of that. But I want to tell you one good story about my brother. So my brother was a huge NASCAR fan, Dale Earnhardt. My brother was a self-proclaimed redneck. That was his terms, not mine. And even though he was a little bit estranged from our family, other than my son Tyler. Somehow, Tyler at age 4 or 5 got into NASCAR. Now, my son, on the other hand, was a Jeff Gordon fan. If you're a Dale Earnhardt fan, you're not a Jeff Gordon fan. If you're a Jeff Gordon fan, you're not a Dale Earnhardt fan. And my brother, we would not see him because he was living on the streets. But every Sunday, or most Sundays, we would get the most kind of vile message on our answering machine to my 5-year-old son about how effing Jeff Gordon is not going to win this weekend. And then we would come home and there would be a die-cast Jeff Gordon car framed in our front stoop, just left there. Or as my daughter said, a Bobby DeBonte. She was a Bobby Labonte fan. I don't know why but we'd find these decal cars. I don't know where he got them from. Don't ask. I don't know. But we still have them to this day. So where does that take us? Here's the why. And so for us, it's about making sure people have that same opportunity. And for us, we've kind of devised this plan of what we call 1 and 1 by 2031, which is we want to have a YMCA presence within 1 mile of everybody we serve in this community. We want to be there because we want to bring what I received as a young kid to everybody as much as we can. And we also we can't expect them to always come to us. We have to go to them. And so we've been working really hard on that. So we started mapping it out. We looked at 2018 and we looked at every Y location, child care, YMCA, whatever it might be, youth sports program, and started mapping it out and saying, okay, this is our service area, these are our locations. At that time, we had about 14,000 members. We were doing about 400 kids in before and after school child care, out of school time programs, Lincoln. Camp was, flowing at 60 kids a week in summer. We had our early learning program, our child care program. We had about 32 kids per week. And again, it was going well, but that's not enough. There's way too many people to serve. And so again, we look at 2018, and I just want to kind of show you where we're at today. This is what today looks like. Constantly. Building on what we feel is important and making sure the community has what they need. And so I gave you those 2018 numbers. I'll show you what 2023 looked like. So we went from about 14,000 members to almost 30,000 members. Out of school time doubled. So we went from about 6 after school sites to 14 before and after school sites. Summer camp, which Corey in this room, Corey's going to kill me, because that was 60. We're at 220 this year, and we still have about 60 kids on a waiting list that we're trying to find a spot for. So we're going to keep going. We're going to keep pushing. We're going to try to make sure people have the services that they need. In our early learning program, we added a classroom at our Maple Street location, and we, thank goodness, in our great partnership with Bogan Development, opened up our new early learning center on the north side, and that's just a great opportunity for us to expand our reach. So, and why that's important is because we want to make sure that, again, those services are everywhere. And they're the same services. So we want to make sure that everybody has the opportunity and the same opportunities. Our early learning center on the north side is a great example of that. First of all, over 93% of the kids are on some type of financial assistance. They're receiving money through the YMCA, GSRP, KC Ready Forwards, a lot of our great partners, the state of Michigan, all that. Every one of them nearly is receiving some type of financial assistance to attend, because we want to make sure it's accessible and affordable. The other thing is we want to make sure that those kids on the north side are getting the same experience as those kids at the Maple Street Y. So we make sure that they're provided swim lessons. We transport them. They're given tennis lessons. They're getting the same experience that those at the Maple Street Y would. We don't want it to become, this is what they get and this is what they get. We also have made a priority of making sure that registration window to the north side is a priority, that the center was designed for the north side. Hiring, kids, and we even make sure our wages are same across the board. Right? We want to make sure we're providing opportunities that are equal and fair. Equitable is very important to us. And because, we start looking at experiences, today at the end we're going to talk a little bit about aquatics. One of the themes in this at the end will be a story and a video about aquatics. And the program at the north side, we want to make sure those kids are given the same opportunity, because what do we know? Like between ages 1 and 4, it's the leading cause of death is drowning. Teenage kids is the second leading cause of death. We need to make sure we have lakes, we have pools, we have all those experiences. We need to make sure that they learn and they're safe around water. Same reason our Lincoln program, that's our school-age program, we make sure we provide swim lessons and water safety programs for them in the summertime, whether it be at the Maple Street Y or at our partnership with the city at the Kick Pool. And I know we have folks from KDPS here. They are also part of that process. They're there, actually in the pool in some cases with the kids. And so it's all about partnerships, about equity. It's about making sure the experiences are all the same. I am really excited about who we are, and this is some of the faces I want to just kind of share what that looks like. And these are our programs. These are our after-school programs. Let those sink in a minute. Our early learning, Ms. Kaleche, our new Northside coordinator. Our Safety Around Water program, our teaching swim lessons and so forth. Ms. Renee in there teaching kids from the Lincoln in the summer. And just swim lessons in general. We want to make sure kids are safe around water. We want to make sure kids are given the opportunity, and we want to go where people are at. I'm going to come back up here in a little bit as we wrap this thing up, but I want to give you some experiences that I had, why the why is important to me, so you can understand the direction that we're going. And I hope it inspires you to consider giving to the why today. But again, I thank you for your time, and I appreciate it. Rhonda, come on up.
Good morning. Thank you, Dave, so much. And I appreciate, Dave, you sharing your story with us. That story is replicated over and over and over again. And the main reason why we're here today is to talk about impact and how we bring community together and make a difference in the Kalamazoo community, whether it's in Kalamazoo, Portage, or, as you saw on the map, all the way around the county. One of the things that is really important to the Y is that we provide opportunities and experiences at the YMCA for anybody, regardless of their ability to pay. So financial assistance is one of our big missions, and I keep forgetting I got to do the clicker. Okay, so let me click. Financial assistance is one of our major programs, and one of the things that we spend a lot of time and effort in, because we believe in the fact that everybody, regardless of where you come from, what your circumstances at your home, and what your background is, that you should be allowed to come to the YMCA. And so right now, we are offering that program. We offer it to anybody, and we've actually revised it. It's really kind of cool. You walk in, give us your information, we pop it into the computer, And we can tell you almost immediately whether you are eligible for a form of financial assistance. Last year, 2023, we gave out $555,500 in financial assistance. The need continues to grow, and as you can see, we had a 38% increase over last year, or over 2022, and we impacted 6,900 people in that. And so that's 6,900 people that had the opportunity to learn how to swim, to be a part of our after-school programs, to be involved at the Y, whether it's taking fitness classes or whatever it might be, but to be able to come to the Y and experience the Y, build community at the Y, and build friendships and relationships. So that's 1 in 3. So I always tell the staff when we've had these conversations a few times this year, that when you're walking down the hallway, that 1 in every 3 of the people that you see in the hallway are probably on financial assistance. That's pretty impactful, and you know, if you've been to the Maple or Portage Y, there's a lot of people in and out of our buildings every single day. We serve over 1,000 people daily at the YMCA. And 1 in 3 of those are participating in the Y because they're able to come because of financial assistance. So last year we raised over $400,000, which is awesome, but we have a gap. We have a gap of about $154,000 from last year. Our goal today is to start to bridge that gap. Our goal today is to, 1, help this room understand a little bit more about what the Y does and the impact that we're having in our community, but also it is to ask you to provide us an opportunity to continue to offer financial assistance at the level that we need to for our community. So as you probably have gathered, the YMCA is a nonprofit organization, and as I said earlier, our goal is to offer a variety of programs that are diverse in nature, affordable, accessible, and that help us to create community. Now, I would like for Christy and Nathan to make their way up here, please. So one of the things that it's always fun when I get to do this thing a lot, right, with doing the breakfast, and it's fun to do this because we get to start to hear stories, and we do it intentionally. We do it intentionally to try to find the stories, the impact, and it helps us as a staff to feel more motivated to do the jobs that we do every single day, but it gives us an opportunity to share some of the great things that happen in our Y every single day. So I'd like to introduce to you Christy and Nathan, and I want to have Christy and Nathan share your story with us.
Hi, my name's Christy Dyke, and this is my son Nathan, also known as
Nate the Great.
So we were asked to come and share our experience with the Y, and we were happy to do so because we have a pretty great experience with the Y. So we moved to Kalamazoo, we moved to Kalamazoo when Nathan was about 4. My husband and I work here. We both work at Bronson. We have 2 other children as well. Our family lives and thrives in Kalamazoo. But when we first moved here, we were trying to find programs for Nathan to go to, and almost every program that we tried to get him involved with asked him to leave. It was just too hard. It was too hard to accommodate. It was too hard to deal with any of the differences. So we ended up finding a program at the Y. It was a preschool program that was at the time housed at the Croydon building. And they embraced him. They helped us to figure it out. They helped to make him a part of that program, and it was really the very beginning of our experience with a Y. He then went on to do primetime programs after elementary school and after middle school. He did summer camps. He continued to be involved in high school, and it wasn't always easy, but every program, every staff was always invested in finding a way to make it work. And because of that, his time at the Y, they instilled in him a love of swimming, a love of basketball, a love of being active, of meeting new people. He still loves to challenge anyone and everyone to a game of hoops, and he might beat you. or a cannonball contest in the pool. And he loves swimming so much, he registers for every swimming event at Michigan Victory Games in Lansing every year. And all of that really started with his ability to be able to participate at the Y. The staff at the Y modeled a level of inclusion that benefited both Nathan and his peers. The kids that were in these programs with him, they watched the staff's positive interactions with Nathan. They learned how to accept and include him because the staff did. And though there were some times there were rocky roads, sometimes kids are mean, sometimes there were issues with some of that, but every time something happened, the staff took it as an opportunity to teach a lesson, to talk about patience and kindness and acceptance, and it really changed his world. It gave our family the ability to go to work and to do the things that we needed to do because we knew he was in a safe place. And I truly believe also in terms of community impact, when Dave was up here, he talked about, have you made a difference today? And I feel like the difference for him has been a lifelong difference, not only because he has created and gained a community by being at the Y, but I think every kid that was in every program with him is a better adult because of it, because they learned as a kid how to embrace difference and how to show kindness and acceptance. And in fact, there's very few places in Kalamazoo that we go with Nathan that someone doesn't come up to him and say, I know you. They come out of their way to say hi to him, to high-five him, to hug him, to talk about their time at the Y as kids. And I think that that makes our community better. It has made Nathan's experience in community so much richer. And I think that, it continues to impact him long after his time in those programs because it continues to come up everywhere we go. I know you from the Y, everywhere we go. And they high-five him, and they continue to include him. And I think that that has made overall our community in a better place, and it has made such an impact on our family. And so Nathan wanted to say one thing, too, at the end.
So thank Pete for playing basketball with me.
That was not what we scripted, but thanks, Pete, for playing basketball with him. Do you want to say, I love the Y?
Yeah, so I love the Y.
Sorry. So, one of the things that Nathan mentioned, or Christy mentioned, was that Nathan's experience in the water, and Dave also highlighted in his presentation the importance of our aquatics program. I want to share a couple of statistics that Dave already shared because I think they're really important to hear again. One is that, and I guess let me back up a second. The reason I am very passionate about this is that the Ys that I came from, South Florida YMCA and Central Florida YMCA, we saw a lot of issues with drowning victims. And we don't think about it a lot maybe in Michigan, although now we're starting to get into, they say this is spring. I'm not sure I believe it just yet, but that, we have a lot of bodies of water here in Michigan as well, and it is something that we need to be aware of. But Dave mentioned the cause of death. 1 in 4 children die of drowning deaths under the age of 4. It's pretty amazing when you think about that. And what we used to talk about in South Florida was if you took the drowning deaths across the country, how many classrooms would that fill? Think about that for a second. So I want to share another story with you. It's Sarah's story, and Sarah is one of our employees now. She wasn't at the time when this happened, but she and her son, who at that time was about 6 years old, they were at a friend's backyard pool, in-ground pool. The pool had just been painted. The bottom of the pool had just been painted, finished up really nice, And so a bunch of kids, and Caleb, who is Sarah's son, was in the water. And they were Caleb had to wear floating devices, which, as long as they're the right ones, it's a good idea, right? But he convinced his mom, I'm just going to stay in the shallow end. Let me take my devices off. So they agreed that he was comfortable there. Let me go ahead and take these flotation devices off. So he did. Kids are playing, lots of things happening. All of a sudden, Sarah looks out and she doesn't see her son, and knows that he hasn't gotten out of the pool, so he's somewhere in the pool. One of the things about drowning is that it's actually very silent. You know, we show pictures of when you're in aquatics lifeguarding classes and stuff, you know, somebody flailing in the water. It's typically not how it happens. Very quietly, somebody just slips under the water, and that's what happened with Caleb. He slipped under the water. Sarah couldn't find him, and for what seemed to be a long period of time, but probably wasn't too long, she spotted him under the water. She was able to pull him up, get him out of the water, and he was okay. They didn't have to do any resuscitation, so that was a good thing. Now he has a fear of water, doesn't want to get anywhere near it. And again, how much fun is that when you're in Michigan and it's summertime and you want to be out in a pool or at a lake? So he had a fear of the water. So Sarah made the decision to come to the Y and sign up Caleb for swim lessons. And the instructors took their time. They taught Caleb how to swim, how to be safe around water. They assured him that he could do it because he was scared. And they let him learn at his own pace. And that's kind of what we do when we teach in aquatics, when we're teaching any skills to young children. So that summer, Caleb gets to go to kick pool. And there's this little thing that they have at kick pool, which most pools do. If you're going to swim by yourself in the deep end, you have to pass a water test. And so Caleb confidently got up. He went over to the instructor, and he passed the swim test. So here was a child not a year earlier underneath the water, couldn't get out by himself and had to be helped. And now he is able to swim confidently and enjoy. And they're at the Y all the time. So I want to turn our attention now to the screen and share some more stories.
When I'm in the water, I'm so relaxed. This is my happy place, my peaceful time. It's the best part of my life. It's my medicine. My name is Janelle. I'm 73 years old, and I am a lifetime learner. At 65, I started having some hip issues. So then I figured, okay, Janelle, get in the water. I did shallow water exercise for 8 years. Then I felt I was strong enough to do the power water exercise. You're pedaling forward, you're pedaling backward, then you're doing breaststrokes, run from the shallow to the wall and hold onto the wall, kick back and then run back. And one of the fun things, we get on our back. And when she said kick, we splashed like crazy. Go!
I'm John, and I'm a person who really loves exercise. The water is a unique environment because it's a low impact environment, but you can still get your heart rate up and get a great cardiovascular workout. I was in my early 20s, late teens, and I wanted to get into triathlons, so I knew I had to be able to swim at least a 500 to a half mile to a mile. When I'm swimming, I feel like I'm disassociating from the hustle and bustle of everyday life. It's a little bit of a meditative state where you're maybe thinking about your breathing, you're thinking about your swimming stroke and how you're pushing your body through the water. Your body needs to maintain muscle mass in order to enjoy life in later years.
If you've ever had that dream where you're flying, you're not going to be able to experience that anywhere except for in the pool. It's the only place on earth you can find that freedom. To be truly weightless, you gotta have the water. My name is Renee, and I am the Association Aquatics Director for the YMCA of Greater Kalamazoo. The big issue around water safety is, of course, drowning. And it happens so fast, so quickly, and so silently. Our goal every day is to teach children how to be safe around the water, how to float, how to push off the bottom, and reach safety. Every single day, I see from an infant to an elderly adult getting an aquatic experience that is benefiting them. It's not just for the kids, it's the whole scope of our community. The physical and the mental come together in the water. When you watch somebody who's in pain and then you see them in the water, it's like all of that has lifted.
27 years ago, February 1st, 2 aneurysms. I can't talk, I can't walk, I can't do nothing to myself. I love the water. 15 minutes, you relax, it don't hurt, you can't believe it. I could live here.
My name is Jennifer, and I'm an aquatics instructor, and I teach the arthritis class. The water gives you resistance. It also supports, so it's holding you up, and it helps loosen the joints and muscles. It's relaxing, it brings joy. Anybody can enjoy the water.
I'm Abby.
And I'm Mal. We have 7 kids.
Yeah.
And we're proud Y members. The Y is a community-based place, and it has been so imperative in the dynamics of our family and just enjoying life. For us, the Y has been really representative of inclusivity for both our kids who are neurodiverse and for us as a family in general.
Part of coming to the Y for us is having access to that family locker room. Our 3 youngest are triplets, so that's a handful, especially as they were younger, trying to get through locker rooms and get people changed.
So when they get in the pool, they're just free.
They rely on that consistency.
Go to the water. The water just helps your body.
It's nice to have that family feeling when you come here. You really feel like you're welcome.
The water is for everyone. I want everyone to be able to experience the joy that the water can bring to them.
What do I want to get out of this? A long, healthy life. I can't imagine going any other place but here. This is my life.
I'd like to bring Dave up for some closing. Oh, Cheryl, I'm sorry. Ooh, come on, Cheryl. You're on again.
So that was pretty impressive and pretty powerful. I want to just thank Christy and Nate again for sharing your story. And I want to just thank the people who made the video and that persons who actually shared their stories. I know I was touched by it. I hope all of you all were touched by it, and it kind of gives you some feeling for the value of what the Y does, as well as the need for what we have for the Y to continue so that everyone has a chance to be able to swim, to be able to have activities that will prolong their health and help them to actually have the living that most of us want to enjoy and a lot of us can enjoy in this community. So it's time now, standing with the Y and understanding. I hope you had a little glimpse of what that means. So standing with the Y means you're able to help us to continue to impact our community and impact the lives of persons who you are seeing and so many more that the Y makes a difference on a daily basis. So your donation helps that. It helps us to continue that work, again, for everyone. So there are many ways you can give. You can do a pledge now with a full payment. You can do a pledge during a QR code, which is actually on the cards on the table. You can make a pledge now and actually fill that out, and for later to actually be able to give your donation. And I just want to share that, when we talk about donation, that every gift matters to us. So no matter how small it is, it matters because you're making a difference. You're making an impact for this community, for the people we love in this community. So consider that. And we want to thank you again for your time, for coming here, and for the contributions that you continue to make to the Y. Thank you. Dave?
You know who I am. I'm going to finish with Bill's story. And this actually came to me like 3 days ago. So, things happen for a reason. So Bill is a member of the Y, retired firefighter. And 4 weeks ago, Bill was in the hospital with pneumonia. And in pretty severe case, spent a week in the hospital. And Bill goes home. About 2 weeks later, he gets a call from his doctor. And his doctor says, "Hey, Bill, first of all, I just want to check on you, see how you're doing. And, Bill, I just got to ask you a couple questions because I'm perplexed. I'm confused, and I need your help." And Bill's like, "What do you got? I don't understand." He said, "Well, so while you were in the hospital, there's another gentleman, several years younger than you, not nearly the severe case of pneumonia that you had. I'll be honest, he didn't make it. And I'll tell you, Bill, when you were there, a couple days in, we didn't think you were going to make it. You were a severe case. We thought you were never leaving." And he said, so that's got me perplexed. I just can't figure it out. And he said, "So what's your day like? What do you do? Do you exercise? Well, I'm just trying to get a handle on this." And Bill says, "Well, I go to the Y 3 days a week and do water exercise class." And he said, "Wow, that clearly has had an impact on you." In fact, the doctor stops and says, "Hey, here's what you need to do, Bill. Next time you're at the Y, you need to walk up to your swim instructor for your group exercise class, hug them, because I'm sure they just saved your life." There's no doubt in my mind, he said. So that's the kind of impact we have every day. That's not the first story I've heard like that. And I'll cry about it, so I apologize. But my wife's a reporter by trade. That's what she was a journalism major. She actually went to UW-Madison as well because I was there, and she was supposed to go to Missouri because there was a better journalism school, but she settled. But we had a woman at my last Y that, and I'm going off script, so bear with me. So this wasn't planned, but we were doing some stories, catching some stories at my last Y, and I had met a woman named Melissa at my last Y. She was a manager at Rockies, and we used to see her at the Y. She had 2 kids, autism. And the Y is really important to her, but I stopped seeing her, and man, I love Rockies. If you haven't been to Rockies breadsticks are the best. But anyway, I'd go there, and I was getting food, and I saw her, Melissa, and I said, I haven't seen you at the Y in a while. I said, "Well, you didn't know I was diagnosed with uterine cancer, and we just couldn't afford the Y anymore, and it's my time." And she said, and I said, "Whoa, we've got this program called Live Strong. I can get you a membership to the Y, and I think you need to continue to exercise and get healthy. And your kids still need to be at the Y. So let's put down any of our barrier. Let's get you into the Y." And as part of that, I asked my wife as a journalism major, I said, "I need to capture Melissa's story." And so my wife's interviewing her, and Melissa's sitting there, and my wife's there, and I'm behind. And Melissa's telling her story about how the Y, basically saved her life. And I'm back there just bawling. And my wife's looking at me going, "Can you just stop crying?" Jesus. Every time. Anyway, so I tend to be a little bit of a crier. Usually we're watching movies, she looks at me, "Are you crying again? Stop it." Anyway, but that's the impact that we tend to have, right? And and you know, and sometimes they're not always that profound, but I will tell you, I go back to that quote, did you make a difference today? You undoubtedly did. You affected somebody. You made a difference in their lives. The question you ask yourself is, what kind of difference did I make? Because I want to be the positive one. I want to be the life-changing one. And I've committed my life. My wife has committed our life to it too as well, because she's allowed me that opportunity. And I will tell you, the Y has taken a lot of long nights, time away from family, and my wife has given a lot of that time for it as well. But I want to thank you again for all being here. I ask you to consider giving generously. And one last thing, I do need to make sure I thank 4 people. Miss Rhonda, Miss Megan, Brooke, and Vicki. They are the ones that put this whole event together. So if I can give them a round of applause. And I owe them that thank you and an apology too, because usually we'd be in a meeting and I'm going, it's a piece of cake. And I know that they're doing all the heavy lifting. For me, it was a piece of cake, but they make it look very easy, very smooth. So again, I appreciate you being here today. This was a great opportunity. It was great attendance. And thank you so much. And everybody drive safe. Have a good day. Thank you.